Welcome all, welcome to Topper IAS. So let's get started with our daily series of discussing a topic, keeping UPSC mains in focus, right? So let's get started then. So the topic that we have taken is with respect to UNCLOS, that is nothing but United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Okay, we refer it as UNCLOS. So question is why did we pick up the issue? See, India has assumed presidency of UNSC, right? And there is a talk about how to ensure maritime security and freedom of navigation. So with that, in that context, UNCLOS becomes very important, and UNCLOS will be often in news whenever there is maritime issues, maritime dispute between the countries over a territory or over an island, over water bodies. So we will see what is the UNCLOS, why it is that important. Okay, so let's get started. See, basically UNCLOS was adopted in the year 1982. So what does it do? What it does is, it is nothing but it provides for comprehensive regime of law and order in the world's oceans and seas. So you have a laws, right, to regulate various affairs. So in the sphere of world's oceans and seas, this is a law and order that UNCLOS provides for. UNCLOS provides for law and order in the world's oceans and seas. So it establishes rules governing all the uses of oceans, not only oceans, as well as the resources which are part of oceans. Okay, and it is the only international convention which stipulates a framework for state jurisdiction in maritime spaces. So to what extent the coastal states have jurisdiction over maritime spaces, and it also provides different legal status to different maritime zones. We will see different maritime zones in our next coming time. And it provides for backbone for offshore governance by coastal states and those navigating the oceans. Okay, so how the coastal states will be governing, and what are all the rules, the stuff that the ships which are moving, which are in the oceans, have to follow. So it not only zones coastal states, offshore areas, but also provides specific guidance for states rights and responsibilities in these five zones, the zones that the UNCLOS does. Okay, so you can see here maritime zonation. See, we will see on what basis, like how it is divided. You can see over here there is a baseline. If you can see here, there is a baseline, right? So baseline, this is used as a reference to divide different zones. For example, within the you see here baseline, you also see blue color on the top, even before baseline. So that becomes country's internal waters, and from baseline up to 12 nautical miles you have territorial sea. Okay, and after once the territorial sea ends at 12 nautical miles, from there another 12 nautical miles, this area is categorized as contiguous zone. Okay, and another zone we have exclusive economic zone. See, exclusive economic zone stretches from baseline to up to 200 nautical miles, remember that. And once exclusive economic zone ends, then you have high sea, that is nothing but open ocean. Okay, so this is the zonation you have. So what is the importance of this zonation means, according to the zonation, a coastal state enjoys different kind of rights in the oceans. Okay, so for example, if it is in the so what is the various powers that coastal state enjoys in territorial sea? see see the sovereignty of a coastal state extends to airspace, water column, seabed, subsoil, allowing for the right of innocent passage. So it can make laws to regulate all these spheres within territorial waters. But when you go to contiguous zone, you see that a state do not have all those rights which it enjoys in territorial sea. Rather, it has only rights to regulate water column and continental shelf. You can see over there. And coming to exclusive economic zone, so from baseline to 200 nautical miles, right? So here a state has rights, sovereign rights for exploring, exploiting, conserving, managing living and non-living resources of the water column. So it has exclusive rights to exploit all the resources within exclusive economic zone. Then you have high seas. So what happens is, high seas are referred as a common heritage for entire mankind. So no nation has a sovereign rights over here. Rather, if at all any country wants to conduct exploration about the resources and all, so this they have to get the permission from International Seabed Authority. Okay, so they will be governing it, remember that. So importance of zonation is, depending on the zones, a coastal state has different rights. So this is important from economic point of view also with respect to resources, and important from security point of also, so that a coastal state can regulate or permit or not to permit the movement of various ships within its territory. So from that point of view it is important. See, but and as I said, we are discussing this because there are maritime issues, maritime disputes, so obviously UNCLOS will be in news. See, for one example, we have territorial disputes within South China Sea. So this South China Sea dispute involves both island and maritime claims by various countries such as Brunei, People Republics of China, okay, then Taiwan, we have Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. So what is the significance of China is, see, it is an important route for important passage area for global trade. Almost US dollar 3.37 trillion worth of global trade passes through South China Sea annually, okay, and this almost accounts for third of global maritime trade. So important trade route it is. Then 80% of China's energy imports and for almost 40% of China's total trade passes through South China Sea. It shows how significant is this area for China. Okay, then what is the basically dispute is, there is a dispute, a claim, different countries are there, they are claiming that this island belongs to me, reefs or banks, other features in South China like islands, partly islands and parcel islands. So they are claiming that this island belongs to me and other nation says it belongs to us. So this is the claim over there. And not only that, there are also further disputes such as waters near Indonesian Natuna Islands, which may do not regard as part of South China Sea. So basically different countries are claiming certain areas within South China Sea. So a question comes, why are they claiming? So see, whenever something does, it is based on interest, right? There are certain interests that the countries are seeking here. See, claimant states are interested in retaining or acquiring rights of the certain things. So in this area, these countries, there is this area is rich in fishing stocks, okay, and there is exploration and potential exploitation of crude oil and natural gas in this seabed of South China Sea, and strategic control of important shipping lanes. So question comes, why do they want to have control over South China Sea? Because there are potential fishing stock over, there are potential crude oil and natural gas reserves in South China Sea, and also it is an important trade route. We have already seen one third of global trade passes through this area. So if we have control over this area, obviously you will be having certain power, exerting your influence in international trade also. So that is why there is a competition among countries to have claim over certain areas, islands, and all this stuff. So with respect to that, UNCLOS comes into play. So how do you dispute, how do you resolve this issue over maritime claims? So whether it has been successful or not, that you can analyze. Okay, so that's it for today. So you can download the PDF of this document in the link that is shared below, and do download Topper S Institute app so that you can get access to a number of these videos that will be helping in your UPSC preparation for mains also. Okay, so that's it. Have a good day. Bye.